that talk about it. People knew that they had a gun in their car, and nobody batted an eye about it. It was just part of the landscape. And what I'm hearing from you, I think, is that when kids do that now, it's more of a status of rebellion and there is an image with that. And there's a lot in this with the media that portrays an image of using guns improperly. But people still have a responsibility to act correctly. You know, 30 years ago there was movies that used firearms improperly also, but that didn't mean that we went out and did it. We were still able to make the right conscious decisions. And really, and this covers, I think, your question you had also with if you remove 4 or 5 cities, it all comes down to behavior. You know, we have to hold people accountable for their behavior and point it out when they do. And people in those communities have to hold accountable for the drug trade and the things in their communities to overcome the behaviors that lead people towards violence. That answer your question?
This young man is about
I think that one thing we need to consider and has been considered is the types of populations we're looking at. You have, downstate, you have just a largely white male. Up in Chicago, you have black and white and Hispanic communities. And in Germany, you have very homogenous, uniquely German communities. So my question is, how much do you think that attributes to the lack of gun violence? Einhelligen von Deutschland.
The population in Germany is not homogeneous. There are a lot of immigrants from Turkey and the Arab countries and from Eastern Europe. And there are a lot of social problems connected with integrating these people into the German population. As a result, there are many social, political problems, including problems with security.
My question is, y'all been from Chicago. I grew up in Chicago also, and you said that you think if you take away the drugs in Chicago, a lot of people take away drugs in Chicago, it stops the violence in Chicago. And my question pretty much goes to is majority of the people, because most of the violence that comes from Chicago is from young black men. And if you take away the drugs from Chicago, then I don't think the violence is honestly going to stop, because the purpose of selling drugs is money, like you said, it's the economic situation. And like you said, it is jobs in Chicago, start working in Chicago, it is, but it's the type of money that you're making in Chicago. And I think that's more the bigger issue that's going on here. Like, yeah, you can tell somebody they can go make $825, but if you can make $6,000 a day, what you think they're going to do? And then also with the drugs, if you legalize drugs, then they just going to find another way to make money. And you got people breaking their houses, stuff like that. So I mean, I think it's a bigger issue at hand. And my question really is, what do you think what you think actually solve the problem in Chicago?
There in Chicago, as I said before, you can eliminate the drugs. But it takes proper education. And when I say job creation or a person going to get a job, I'm not talking about McDonald's or nothing like that. There's jobs jobs that can be created among the people that live there. Rather than selling drugs, then what I can do, I don't have a job, this man don't have a job, and this man don't have a job, and this man don't have a job. If we get lawnmowers, and we get rakes, and we get brooms, we can create a lawn service. If I don't have a job, I can get a ladder, I can get some paintbrushes, and we can create a painting company. There's a lot of things that we can do to create jobs for ourselves. And if we create jobs for ourselves, then we won't have to sell drugs. And what we can do is we can replace the drug trade through collective economics. Then we can solve a lot of our own problems. If you would look at the black community there in Chicago, a lot of our money, most of our money goes out of the community. If we would take that money and circulate it in our own community, then we can create a lot of jobs and everything. We wouldn't have to go and ask anybody for jobs. So we have the answers among ourselves.
I do want to take this a brief moment. I do want to get to the other questions, but we're kind of reaching like the last roughly about a half hour of the event, and I want to give each of the panelists an opportunity to kind of offer a closing statement. So with the next few questions, I would ask to make sure that we get them all in, briefly brief, so we can have as many questions as we can, and offer our panelists an opportunity to offer a closing statement. So, Sean, and then the gentleman in the back, young man in the no, right behind you.
My question is for the entire panelists. I know there's a case with economics and the war on drugs, or the war on guns, and the violence, gun violence. But my question is, do you think the role of law enforcement, and more specifically increasing law enforcement, has a role in regulating gang violence and criminal violence that is involving guns?
Well, as part of the United States law enforcement family, our main job is to keep the peace. And obviously gun violence disturbs the peace. As far as regulating, we investigate and arrest criminal behavior. And if even though I'm a gun owner, NRA member, I'm pro freedom and pro gun ownership for those who can be responsible about it. If you're irresponsible with a firearm, I've arrested people for firearm laws, for breaking gun laws, for possessing them illegally, to using them illegally, and we'll continue to do so. Because, again, the hammer that I beat, I guess, is responsible behavior. People should be held responsible for their actions. And if you're going to own a firearm, and that's the choice you're going to make with the Second Amendment, then you have to be responsible with that. And you've got to demonstrate that responsibility. And if you commit crimes, then yes, that's the job of law enforcement to intervene to keep the peace. Does that answer your question?
This gentleman over here, and then
For the gentleman from Chicago, I'd like to ask if you could reflect back on your career as a community activist and briefly describe for us a really good day on the job and a really bad day on the job.
Or any of the panel.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, a good day on the job, because I do a lot of mentoring and young boys and everything. A good day on the job is when I've got a group of young boys and we're going out fishing and we're catching fish, or we're going hiking in the woods and we're just having a real good time. We go to McDonald's or somewhere and we have burgers and fries, and that's a real good day. A bad day on the job is when you see a person that's murdered on the street senselessly, 19 years old, 18 years old, and they engaging in the drug trade, and you have to look down at this person murdered in the streets. And although he was a part of that, it's still senseless. This is a person that's murdered on the street. That's a real bad day, because that's a human being. And through proper education, then we could have rectified that and everything if the proper education could have got to him in time. So that would be a good day on the job and a bad day. But when you got people that's dying in the streets, or you have to go to a funeral, and this person, he's a young man, he have maybe 1 or 2 children, and you know that child will never have a father, you know, that's a real bad day on the job.
Can you come to the third slide, please?
Sir, my question is to the gentleman from, our visitor from Chicago. My question is this: do you have in place some type of liaison or outreach? I know you have communications with the police commissioner, particularly Commissioner McCarthy, and the reason I ask this question, because his attitude, like back in January, was when Chicago was getting a lot of murders in those neighborhoods, and he actually said Chicago doesn't have a murder problem, it has a perception problem, because like in 1 week, when it was going like records the year before, he said actually there were less people shot this week as the week of the year before, but it's just more died, and it happens that way sometimes. And what I'm saying is you've got some great, I do know you have some good aldermen there that spoke out against this, and they were disappointed in his handling and attitude, and I guess they expressed that to Mayor Emanuel. So I'm just wondering, the question is, do you have in fact some kind of liaisons and outreach to kind of talk to them more about helping with the enforcement, and then on that maybe some more mentoring, like you talked about, that's a great thing, taking kids, taking young people fishing and outdoors and outreach. Do you have maybe more of like, not a community watch, but something like that? You can get more mentors involved too?
Well, that's something that we're working on. When you start talking about people getting involved in the community and working, especially if there's no money involved in it, they're few and far between. So we can just, there's a lot of grassroots organizations and people that's out there, just like myself. I just do what I can. I don't belong to a particular organization or nothing except for my block club and everything, but I got young boys that I personally mentor, so you can just do what you can do.
To correct my terrible oversight, gentleman over here.
This is to address to the gentleman from Germany. Do you think there is what helps contribute to your low crime rate, at least the murder rate, would be the way that you punish people who sort of commit crimes, or do you have a different way of that you handle that, like within the legal system other than here in the United States?
He says that he doesn't think that it's a matter of having a lower crime rate. Right, but the serious crimes, the crimes in which people are killed or injured, do happen less often there.
hatte nicht davon überzeugt, dass es eine solide Meinung oder
And he says his personal opinion it is because of the strong gun laws that we have there.
Wie gesagt, uns in Kultur sind wir alle groß geworden. Wir sind es gewohnt, dass wir keine Waffen haben und dass wir unsere Verteidigung in die Hände des Staates geben. Ja, das ist in Ordnung.
Yeah, it's their culture, and when they grow up with this attitude that it's the job of the government to protect them, and therefore they don't think they themselves need to have guns for personal protection.
All right, I really thank everybody for coming out, but this is more of a statement / question for the crowd. All right, so besides the two previous questions I asked the Chicago man, what got from Chicago, you guys have been asking the same basic question. He has been reiterating himself for the last about hour or so, hour and a half about the same issue. I don't think you guys really will understand Chicago until like you guys actually lived in there. Like gun trafficking is gonna happen, black market is gonna happen. Where do you guys think that these people get guns from? Like these are people living at the projects of Chicago who are mostly these gang members that are talking about. They don't just get guns by purchasing. No, guns are trafficked from people who are gun owners. Basically, they just don't get these powerful weapons from nowhere. And then to the man, like right here, I'm sorry, I raised my hand like wow. Yeah, so I know that you think that Chicagoans are bringing violence out here to Coles County because I feel that in Coles County, why else do you need a gun besides hunting, things of that nature, sporting, things of that nature, and outside of course, it's your Second Amendment to have guns. Why else do you guys need guns per se? Do you feel like the Chicagoans are endangering you? Because that's what I kind of got the vibe from you. You feel that we were endangering your life, basically. And to be honest, it feels that you were targeting African Americans of this this university, basically. And we're not even like that. To be honest, like whatever happened with the party and everything like that, I know you guys know about that. That's not us. We are here to make a difference. We're not here to bring harm to you guys. Like, to be honest, we're more scared of y'all than y'all are of us. So, I mean, basically, why do you feel the need to have a gun? Because the man over here said he needed a gun because he was scared because of an event that happened inside Germany. Why do you feel that you need a gun here outside of the rights and of sporting and things of that nature?
Real quick, as a Charleston native, lived here my whole life, and I'm moving to Texas again this year. Proud of it. I've been here. I went to school here, got my master's degree here. All my family got their degree at Eastern, but Eastern's changed. Not you changed it, but Chicago culture changed this town. You ask anyone in this business here in this room, and the last 2 years, this town has changed. We have people afraid to go on 6th, 7th, and 8th Street because someone will pull a gun on them, which they have gentlemen sitting next to me. So don't tell me not you, not the college students that come down. I don't care. I'm not saying the college students that come down. What happens is the gangs follow you down here. That's who we're having a problem. We love the college kids going to school here. I'm not trying to say that, but it's the Chicago gangs, which he knows the problem. They're the ones that did the shooting out there. Wasn't you guys, it was the Chicago gang, and we don't like that.
So you need a gun?
I need a gun to protect myself from that, yes.
Did they ever come and try to harm you?
I don't know if they're going to.
Okay, and hang on a second. I want to take the moderator's prerogative. I want one more statement from this young man, and then I'm going to, because we're almost out of time, and I do want to give the panelists the opportunity to make a closing statement. So, young man, please.
Roy.
So you think that only Chicago is coming here? We're the only gang like Well, then you gotta restate what you just said then, because you said Chicago follows this young man down here and lives on West Street 8th, 7th, and 11th.
That's where ask the sheriff.
So every gang member lives on those streets?
Yeah.
I will ask you to ask him.
Please, a question, please.
Restate it, because you said Chicago follows this young man down here.
Yes, I
Like
will
no one
say
else
that.
comes from,
I'm saying other cities may do it too, but a lot of Chicago, because
Okay.
there's little drafts from that area.
Before emotions kind of get out of hand, I do appreciate everyone in their statements, and I do appreciate that. But however, I would like to begin to give, one of our panelists, yeah.
I have a question. I think, of course, there are a lot of differences between drugs and guns, of course, because drugs, they are produced in an illegal context, and I think the firearms here were produced in a legal context. So what I try to say is every gun was legal. And my idea, or my question is, what do you think? How can you get the control back about these guns?
Well, what I would like, well, actually, what I'd like to be is about a foot taller than that's what I'd like to do is give each of our panelists the opportunity to sort of make a statement, sort of summing up their perspective on this, and then I would like to make a brief closing statement, and then we will, I believe there's a reception across the hall. If anyone would like to come